In this tutorial, we'll be discussing about Area Effector 2D. So let's get to the example. In this project, I have a box. This box has a rigid body 2D and a box collider 2D attached to it. I have kept the mass of the box to 0.1. I have attached a jump script onto this box. This jump script will make this box jump when I press the space button, and it will go right and left when I press the left and right arrow keys. I'll show you with the example. Let's run it. So here I jump. I can move right and I can move left. Now in this project, I'll add a square component. I'll click on Assets, Create, Sprites, Square. So you can see that a square box has come in the Assets folder. I'll drag and drop this onto the scene. I'll add a box collider 2D to it. I'll increase the transparency so that we can see what is going on inside. Now to this square, I'll add the Area Effector 2D. So as soon as you add it, you will get this warning message that it won't function if you tick the Used by Effector checkbox. So you just have to check it. So another error comes, and that is related to Ease Trigger. So you have to check the Ease Trigger property. Now before understanding the Area Effector 2D properties, let's understand the global and the local angles. At present, it's selected to local. 0 is to the right, 90 is to the top, 180 is to the left, and 270 is to the bottom. If I rotate this square to 45 degrees, now 0 degrees is to this side, 90 is to this side. So this is in reference or in relation to this game object. So the coordinates are set according to the local space of the game object. But when I press on global, you can see that it's still the 0 is on the right and 90 is on the top. So I'll change this back to 0. Now we'll look at the collider mask and use collider mask in the end. First, we'll understand the use global angle. So if you don't check this use global angle, then the local coordinates of the game objects will be used as a reference. If I add a force of say suppose 10 and the force angle of say suppose 0, and if I keep this use global angle checkbox unticked, then it will use the local space coordinates of this box. So here at present, the local and the global are the same because 0 is to the right. But if I had rotated it to 45 degrees, then the 0 would be pointing diagonally right. So I hope you have understood what I said. So at present, I'll tick this use global angle property. Let's keep the force magnitude to say 3. Let's run it. So you can see that the force gets applied to the right or 0 degrees. If I change the force angle to 90, you'll see that the force gets applied to the top side, or I'm moving to the top. I'll slant this square to say 45 degrees and I'll untick this use global angle. Now at 0 degrees, the force will be applied this side. Let's run it. So you can see that the force is getting applied to the right side and the top. Similarly, if I change this to 90 degrees, you'll see the force gets applied to the right side and to the top. So this is about the use global angle, force angle, and the force magnitude. The force magnitude is the amount of force that you want to apply on the game object. Force angle is the angle of force that should be applied on the game object. The values can range anywhere from 0 to 360 degrees. I'll tick this use global angle again. Now next property is the force variation. Now the force variation is the variation in the amount of force that is applied onto the game object. So at present, the magnitude of the force is 3. If in the force variation, I add the value 10, then the amount of force that gets applied onto this game object varies between 3 and 13. I have zoomed this out a little bit. Let's run it again. So at present, it's slowly bouncing. The amount of force varies between 3 and 13. So you can see that sometimes it jumps too high and sometimes it jumps very less. So this is the variation in the amount of force that is applied onto it. I'll change the force variation back to 0. Now the next property is the force target. The force target is the point on the target game object where the force is applied. Inside that, you can select two values. One is the rigid body and the other is the collider. So if you select collider, then the force will be applied where the collider 2D of the game object is. If the collider is not positioned in the center of mass of the game object, then there can be a rotation on the game object. But if you select the rigid body as the force target, then the force will be applied at the center of the rigid body of that game object, and at that time there won't be any rotation on the game object. The next property is the drag. The drag is the amount of drag that you want to have when your game object interacts with this Area Effector 2D. So let's increase this drag to say around 10. you'll see that now it doesn't go inside that much because it's being stopped linearly, or there is a drag applied onto this game object. If I increase the linear drag to say around 50, you'll see that now the game object doesn't even go inside this area effector 2D. So I'll change this back to 0. The next property on the damping is the angular drag. So the angular drag is the amount of drag that happens onto the game object if it's rotating. So angular drag causes the rotating game objects to slow down a little bit or eventually stop. So I'm setting this angular drag value to say around 20. Let's get it to spin a little bit. So it's spinning right now. Now let's jump into this area effector 2D. You'll see that when it gets into contact with this area effector, then the rotation slows down immediately. Hence, that is the use of this angular drag property. If I increase this drag value to say around 60 and run it, you'll see an elevator-like effect onto this game object. So the last two properties are the use collider mask and the collider mask. If I don't take this use collider mask, then by default, the global collision matrix will be used for all the collisions. But if the use collider mask is ticked, you will see that there is a drop down to the right of the collider mask property. Here, at present, this area effector 2D will collide with all the layers. So you can particularly set those layers that you want this area effector 2D to interact with. So if suppose I deselect this top one, that is, I don't want this area effector 2D to interact with the game objects that are set to top one. So what I can do is, I'll take this box, I'll set its layer to top one, and I'll run it. Now you'll see that there is no effect of the area effector 2D on this box game object. So I hope you understood about this area effector 2D. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon so you get notified of the new video that I post here on YouTube. Thank you for watching.